You call it an obsession. I call it transformation. And ultimately, Soul Seekers is about seeking after our own soul out in the wild, because that's how we get close with nature. It's how we get close with God. That's how we get still in this universe, this world. Seeking after the souls of others to get them involved, and then seeking after the wildlife. We're
Yeah.
we're getting after it, and we're having fun, laughing and joking, and,
Yeah.
and sharing ridiculous stuff along the way. So
Yeah.
that's what Soul Seekers is.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah.
Oh, you got her, dude. She's down.
Let's go.
Dude, I just shot a deer of a lifetime.
Freaking smoked him.
One with nature, and if you're a believer, one with God.
Definitely gets your heart pumping. Boy, you are in trouble.
Fall Obsession Podcast.
All right, guys. Thank you all for joining us for another Fall Obsession Podcast episode. I'm Sam, your host. We're kicking things off this week with Johnny from Soul Seekers. Welcome to the podcast, brother.
Thank you, brother. I really appreciate that. Thanks for having me over.
Absolutely. I'm super excited to record this, and as our listeners, viewers will discover in one way or another, however I decide to roll with it, we've been sitting here talking on mic, recording for like 10 minutes already. And then it's like, well, I should probably do my introduction at some point and get this episode rolling. So whether we stick that in there at some point or post it as a little extra, whatever it is, man, it was freaking gold already.
Yeah,
and
I appreciate it.
I'm excited, but you, even just the past month or two, getting to know you,
Mm-hmm.
it was totally random, but not. It was meant to happen, us getting connected and everything. You actually reached out to us through just our general company email form on the website, and then I saw it. I saw that you were pretty local to me, like within an hour or so of me, and it's like, well, we can. And I started learning about what you do and Soul Seekers and all that, and it's like there's something here. We can do something here, and then again, just through phone conversations, meeting in person, we talked just a little while ago about how it's nice to have somebody else in the same world that is going through the same stuff, with their own brand. But man, a great icebreaker where I want to start a conversation, and for our listeners or viewers, what is Soul Seekers?
Oh, dude, that's a great question. No one's ever asked me that.
Are you serious?
Yeah, no one's been like, what is Soul Seekers, in regards to, like, you're in the hunting world, so you understand, but like, why that name?
Right.
Like Fall Obsession. Dude, I'm obsessed about the fall. Soul Seekers is all about seeking after the thing that sets us on fire, and seeking after things and allowing that flame to inspire others. So we're not just seeking after ourselves, because hunting is inherently a selfish skill, right? It's like,
yeah, fair.
Yes, we get to share meat with our families. Yes, we get to do that. But I hunt because I want to hunt. I hunt because it ignites my soul. And I want to see other people enjoy it. It wasn't until I was in my 30s that I took hunter safety and went on this journey to learn how to hunt. And I realized, like, dude, I've been missing so much in my life. There's got to be other people out there in this world that need just a little nudge, a little inspiration, a little guidance, a little mentorship.
Yeah.
To inspire them to then set off on their journey, and then their souls are going to be ignited. Because my life was 100% transformed when I started hunting. You call it an obsession. I call it transformation. And ultimately, Soul Seekers is about seeking after our own soul out in the wild, because that's how we get close with nature. It's how we get close with God. That's how we get still in this universe, this world. Seeking after the souls of others to get them involved, and then seeking after the wildlife. We're getting after it, and we're having fun, laughing and joking, and, and sharing ridiculous stuff along the way. So that's what Soul Seekers is.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah.
How long have you been doing it?
So we are releasing season 3 of Soul Seekers on Carbon TV, the show. Currently, we're going to release episode 3 in August. Got a nice mule deer archery elk episode that's coming out. But it's 2023 right now. I killed my first big game animal in 2017. And that was a black bear 9 miles deep in the backcountry of the state of Washington. I was a high school football coach. The bear opened August 1st. Football started August 16th. I used to work at REI, and I used to backpack all over the place. And all of a sudden I realized, like, oh, I can hunt the same trails I'm backpacking. I had no concept of what public land was.
Yeah.
And it's silly when you think about it. It's like, oh yeah, it's public land. But no one actually talks or teaches about the use of public land. Mm-hmm. If, you don't learn it in schools, you're not learning it in, you might learn it in like 4-H or some sort of outdoor community. But hunter safety wasn't taught in my school. I know in certain states that's taught, but where my region is, I'm from the state of Washington, dude, you're not encountering it. So I worked at REI, and it was all about backpacking and like, what next adventure are you going on? What next adventure are you going on? And so I already had a backpack, already had my boots, my camping stove, my sleeping bag, my tent, all this. I just needed a weapon. And I set off, and I remember going into REI, and one of my coworkers at the time, well, I think I was done working there 1 year prior, and they're like, oh, what are you doing? I'm like, you won't believe what is happening. I'm going on a bear hunt. And they're like, wait, what? I'm like, yeah, no, I'm going on a bear hunt. I'm backpacking, but I'm going after bears. They stopped talking to me after that, and I was like, oh man, this is okay. Like, maybe it's taboo. I was so naive and innocent when it came to talking about hunting, promoting hunting. So ended up challenging my own self, because a couple things. Maybe this is a little deeper than the question that you're asking, but
no, go for it.
But being a high school football coach in the fall, dude, you can't successfully put in time. Like Malcolm Gladwell's 10,000 hour rule, right? You master something at 10,000 hours. Well, being a high school football coach and breaking down film and scouting and coaching, and then at the same time, I was a brand new father. Like, there wasn't enough time for me to be the best at all those and then learn a new, you could call it a hobby, lifestyle. Like, everything just changed in my life.
Yeah.
And so I was like, well, what's the one animal I can hunt? Black bears. I was scared to death of bears in the woods.
Yeah.
When I was in second grade, my father took me on a backpacking trip, about 20 miles long, part of the Pacific Crest Trail in the state of Washington. And we encountered some bears, and there was some real, you don't cuss on your podcast, do you?
No.
Okay.
No S words, no F bombs.
Yeah.
So.
No, I'm not gonna.
Yeah.
But I was just.
I know you're not. Random question, just throwing that out there.
Yeah. There is this real dickhole of a person that was not my dad, my uncle, but a friend that was invited. And here I am, a second grader, so 7 years old, 8 years old, out in the wilderness, like far from roads, and they pretended to be bears outside my tent.
Oh my gosh.
And as a child, I was terrified, and then that fear lived inside me forever. So in 2017, when I set off to be like, I'm going bear hunting, I remember laying in my tent at night and being like, oh my gosh, I really hope a bear doesn't walk into camp, because I'm scared. And I was like, wait, no, come on. Like, that would be perfect. That'd be,
That's what I want to see bears, yeah.
Right. And so I went on this journey, and I challenged myself, my courage, man. I was a coward. I was scared. Doing Soul Seekers, the podcast, the show, social media, my outdoor writing, all that challenges my courage every single time. It doesn't feel natural, and yet I do it because it's like I still have that resistance. Like, I'm really scared to dive into the whole YouTube video editing. I know it's good for me. I know my YouTube is monetized, and at the same time, it's hard for me to be like, does it look good?
Yeah.
Is it gonna come out right? I also, that whole, well, I don't know it all, right? I haven't been doing this forever, so what do I really have to share with other people?
Yeah. And speaking from my own experience here, you are your biggest critic, right?
Yes.
And so when you publish a video that you edited, you are going to see, you're going to see the step-by-step process that you went through to put it all together. You're going to have in your mind, in the back of your mind, like all the stuff you took out of that video that you didn't include. You're going to see the flaws, obviously, even if they're not noticeable to your viewers.
Right. And
then obviously you're critiquing yourself. You're like, man, I wish I had done this differently, whether it's from the filming standpoint or the editing standpoint. It's funny. I mentioned in a recent episode that I recorded with RJ Ciancerulo from The Choice. He was talking about editing their show and everything, and I mentioned something very similar to what I just said, and he's like, oh, I told him, I was like, there's some videos I go back and watch from months, years ago, whatever you want to call it. It makes me cringe. I want to delete it. I want to take it down. He's like, I do that all the time. And I mean, and it kind of put it like talking about, being able to relate to people in the same boat. It put in perspective for me that here's a guy who's editing a pretty popular show and has the same outlook or the same struggles as far as, oh man, did I publish that? Like, did I really do that? So when you dip into that, like, it challenges you, it drives you.
Yeah.
And I don't watch any hunting show the same anymore.
Yeah, totally.
I'm always watching for the edit now, which is good and bad. There's sometimes I just want to watch a hunting show, but there's I take a lot away from watching for the edit.
Totally. Let me digress here for a second and go back to your original question of like, what is Soul Seekers?
Yeah. Soul
Seekers, the show and the podcast, is 100% focused around our mission of mentorship is conservation.
I love that statement. It's all over your platform. I love that statement.
Thank you. I forgot to bring you some stickers. I actually had some stickers I was planning on bringing over. But so what is Soul Seekers? It is an avenue. It is a conduit for us to share the love of God with other people. What is mentorship? It's loving somebody.
Yeah.
It's spending time with them. It's investing into their life. So conservation, this world is so upside down, crazy, and backwards, right? Conserve means to save, right? So that you have enough to last you another time, right? So when we talk about hunting, Rocky Mountain Elk Foundation coined the phrase, hunting is conservation, okay? Because of, the different bills and legislation and different things that are happening that allows money to flow back into hunting so that it lasts. Mentorship is conservation is if there are no hunters, hunting isn't going to last. So if you really care about hunting and you really love it, even though it's a selfish act, the best thing that you can do is talk about it, speak about it, share it, and encourage others to get involved with it like it is the best thing in the world.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so and this goes back to the whole courage thing and editing and tying it all together, is understanding that, and this is the beauty of hunting, through discomfort comes about growth. Right? Iron sharpens iron, so the countenance of one friend to another. You're not going to sharpen yourself by rubbing yourself up against a pillow or a soft blanket or, a bubble wrap. That doesn't sharpen you. That doesn't make you more dangerous, more sharp, more dedicated, right? So you have to put yourself in uncomfortable positions in order to grow. Through that, we grow. And the whole idea of mentorship is conservation. The mentorship aspect is my excuse to not do YouTube videos or to put out more information and all that. What did I say? Because I was scared because I don't feel like I know it all. You're right. I've only been hunting for a few years. But what I do know is I know how transformative hunting has been for me. And through that, I still have something to share.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Mom and dad always said, don't say anything, or if you don't have anything good to say, don't say anything at all.
Yeah.
I have so much good to share.
Yeah.
So I'm going to talk about it.
Yeah.
Hunting transformed my life, period. I'm a better husband, a better father, a better employee, a better business owner, a better everything, because I've challenged myself, grown through grit, determination, fortitude, courage, and courage is contagious.
Yes.
Courage is contagious. Just like if I smile at you, you're naturally going to smile back at me. Well, when you see somebody living a courageous life, it's like, okay, I want to be like that.
Yeah.
I say it, so that's a shout out to my friend Greg Anderson. He likes to say courage is contagious. I like to say inspired people inspire people. Mm-hmm. When you live inspired, it's like a mosquito to a light, like zzz, zap. Oh man, dude, did you feel that? Did you experience that? That's what it's all about.
Yeah.
That's why I create the content that I do, not because of fame, fortune, or any of that, because Lord knows that we ain't paying the bills with anything, and
very true.
And our wives are definitely like, oh, you're leaving again, or you know what I mean? Like just coming over here tonight to record a podcast, my youngest was bawling his eyes out, Daddy, I don't go, and I'm like, and through that is growth. Through that, everything. I believe that life happens for us. It doesn't happen to us.
Yeah.
We're not a result of the circumstances in our lives. We stop playing victim. I'm not a victim, right? Things might have happened to me, but that doesn't define me. That doesn't hold me back. I might, tying it into hunting, like you might have missed a shot. You might have missed 2 shots. You might have missed multiple shots. You're not a bad shooter. You just get to practice more.
Yeah.
You just are blessed to shoot more. You're blessed to hone your craft. And you're blessed to enjoy God's creation, nature, and to do this, man. Like, get out of here. It's the best thing ever.
Exactly.
So, my digression.
No, man, that's awesome. So, and I know you've shared your story with me and everything, or a lot of it, but what you talked about that bear hunt and being up in Washington and everything, but you're in Texas now.
Oh yeah.
Let's connect the dots.
So, like full connect the dots through hunting or through like actual life and politics.
Let's just ease into connecting the dots.
Okay.
We don't have to go too heavy in one direction, but it's part of the story.
It is part of the story. Man, it's a big story. It's a big story that to people who aren't willing to take a stand don't understand. Mm-hmm. Coming from the West and the concept of public lands, it is a truly special thing.
Yeah.
To be able to go out to land and recreate, hunt, shoot, fish, hike, explore, adventure, trek, whatever you want to call it. To be able to just do that is so special. Yeah. And then moving to 2,000 miles, relocating my family 2,000 miles to the state of Texas, not only is it culture shock, but now I'm like, public lands in Texas, there are public lands, but it is a whole new learning curve of like, how do I even get on them?
Yeah.
You have to have a public land hunting pass to even get on public lands to hunt. And then not only that, like special permits to be able to hunt those lands. And it's truly fascinating. But originally from the state of Washington, when 2020 happened and COVID all kicked off, there are certain political viewpoints that were attempted to be shoved down our throats that I did not agree with.
Yeah.
And I work in the public sector as a school teacher. My wife is a nurse. We were not okay with what was going down, especially in the blue state of the state of Washington, which ironically was always a red state until, I mean, I'm just going to throw it out there. I think everything's rigged. I think there's going to be a culmination that's beautiful at some point, and we got to go through the fire to allow that steel to get sharpened and hardened, or you got to go through the compression to have that coal turn into a diamond.
Yes.
There is beauty on the other side. Yes. However, for me and my family, we were not satiated or felt comfortable living and being in the environment that we were in, and I love freedom. My podcast, I always end every episode with freedom on and stay soulful. And the purpose of that is to remind people that you are a free, sovereign individual. You get to choose what you want for yourself, and you get to set a standard and hold a standard for you and your family. Now, Washington wasn't working out very well. I left my 2 other hunting partners, and the other side of Soul Seekers is still up in the state of Washington. Tony Ellersick, Two Shot Tony, is our video editor and my original hunting partner. Iron Will Weber is the newest member of Soul Seekers, and I got to take him on his very first hunt.
Awesome.
In season 1 of Soul Seekers. If you go into season 1, I think it's like episode 3 or 4, we take him on a bear hunt. Bears have a very specific foundation within what we do here, like just what a bear represents. Number 1, they're the most polarizing animal to hunt. For, hunters have a hard time defending bear hunting. People don't understand bears. They don't understand why. Can you eat bears? What can you do with it? Like, wait, you can shoot a male and or a female? Like, a lot of polarizing stuff within that realm. In the state of Washington, our spring bear season got canceled because of the criminal Department of Fish and Wildlife and things like that. Like, there's a lawsuit against a couple of the board members that shouldn't have been on the board because they were invested in other things. That's still ongoing right now. So bear hunting in the state of Washington is like crazy. So those guys are up there. Will got to take him on his first bear hunt in his life. He's a living testimony of our Mentorship as conservation platform. His life was transformed through the experience of hunting. Right? Everyone has an opinion. Very few people have perspectives, and perspectives come with experiences. Right? Like, I can believe you're sitting next to me, or I can know you're sitting next to me. Right? Belief is faith and hope and do you believe in Jesus? Yeah, I believe in Jesus. Do you know Jesus? There's a big difference between belief and knowing. There's a big difference between opinion and perspective. Right? I know it because I lived it. So through that transformational power, he came and joined on, and it is really a blessing right now because we are wanting to continue to create content, but with me moving to Texas, it really threw a wrench in the plans of well, how are we going to continue doing this? And now we're paying for flights and different things. And at the same time, I moved to Texas because of what Texas provides. And I will tell you this, Southern hospitality is a phenomenal thing. Phenomenal thing. You ever heard of the Seattle Freeze?
You'd have to tell me. So
the Seattle Freeze is known as, you could walk down the sidewalk next to somebody and they won't look at you or talk to you.
Really?
People kind of keep to themselves. You don't know your neighbors, all this. Being down here, people are friendly. They'll actually stop their day and talk with you and get to know you and all that. Real beautiful thing. Anyways, if I'm getting off track, the whole point of relocating from Washington to Texas was based off of freedom. Originally, my wife and I were going to move to Montana, hunter's paradise. We were going to be 45 minutes outside of Bozeman in Gallatin County. You're Ryan Lampers, familiar with the Stealthy Hunter at all? Big game Western hunter?
I know of him.
Okay.
I'd be lying if I told you I was super familiar with what he does.
Well, okay. So
I've heard the name. And
I love this because you're more Midwest Eastern whitetail hunting focus. In the Western world,
Western world is more foreign to me for sure.
So that dude was going to be my neighbor, 10 minutes,
really?
Country roads. It's just wild to see how things work out. But I do want to say this, that life happens for us, not to us. And so, there's this big push of go west, go Western hunting, and I do feel, at least from my, and I'm going to say opinion right now, not perspective, because I haven't sat in a deer stand or a deer blind to really speak towards it. But this idea of primal adventure that a man needs in his life. We're not, you ever, what was it, David Aldridge? What the book, Drawn a Blank, where boys are not meant to be caged. We're not meant to sit in a desk all day.
I would be your
Wild at Heart. Bam.
Wild at Heart. I would be your fact finder, but my phone is
it's
being used over there.
The book Wild at Heart, right? There's this push to go west, manifest destiny. It's what the United States was based upon. Like, there's a better life out west. Go search it. And we've gone coast to coast, and the last final frontier is the mountains. Like, you want to escape, you want to get away, you want to be still, be quiet, be solitude. You got to go high.
Yeah.
You got to go
gotta
up. So the beautiful story about that is I feel like I'm a reverse pioneer. I moved. I didn't even see my house until I moved here, and I drove up, and I was like, "Wow, this is where we're moving. This is my home." And so now I get to bridge the gap, and this is I'm getting excited thinking about the possibilities here.
Yeah.
If I have this mission, and I feel like it's a calling upon my life to share with others, of mentorship as conservation, and hunting has the power to transform lives through primal adventure. This idea of Western hunting is awesome and so foreign to the flatlanders of the East, but no one ever goes west to east.
Yeah.
Everyone goes east to
East
west.
to west.
And so here I am. I get to now bring my mission this way. And you know what? I thought everyone hunted over here. There's a lot of people that don't hunt or never hunted. And so I've already gotten a chance to mentor a brand new hunter. We filmed a hog hunt. He was a former Marine. Ironically, moved from the state of California. And that is funny within itself to me, that he was a former Marine, and he also is coming east, and he wants to learn to hunt, and he has 3 children that now he's going to have the skill set to be able to pass on to his children, and that legacy continues.
Yeah.
Right. In the Aztec culture, we die 3 deaths. The first death is when we realize our mortality. My 3-year-old, almost 4-year-old's going through that right now. He's realizing, what? Things die? You don't live forever? Second one is when you physically die. But the third one is right here on this wall, when your name is no longer spoken. Mm-hmm. And in the hunting culture, for us to be able to understand and articulate, like, why do we put these antlers on the walls? Why do we have that shoulder mount? Why do we do these things? Because it is honoring to the life in which we take. It's honoring to the journey, to the adventure, to the story. You know, Achilles in the Battle of Troy and all this stuff, that it was talked about, shared, it inspired, it ignited people. Like, oh man, I want to go do that. That's what Soul Seekers is all about. That's why I'm doing this. And at the same time, it's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
So without getting too heavy, like, that's my transformation and moving from Washington to Texas and realizing that this mission isn't just Western hunting.
It's everywhere.
It goes everywhere.
And that's one thing that, like, again, your opinion turning to perspective, the more that you get to, the more people that you meet, the more people you mentor, or anybody for that matter. And one thing that I've learned too is just, I grew up whitetail hunting. Mm-hmm. Like, whitetail, pigs, Texas, all I knew growing up. And still, like, I'm very foreign everywhere else. I've taken a couple of trips out of state. Like, I'm no expert out of state. This mule deer hunt I have coming up is exciting and intimidating at the same time, you know, because I'm like, oh my, I've never done it before. But, you know, you flip it around in any direction around here. And there's somebody who is seeking the experience that you're well versed in, or that you're currently going through, whatever it is. We had last year, actually, I think it was this week last year, our staff manager, Todd, he came down from Michigan on a hog hunt down here. He actually came down just because he wanted to hang out and record a podcast. Uh-huh. He came all the way from Michigan to come down here, and I'm like, well, man, if you're coming down here, I'm going to take you hunting. Like, I'm not going to not take you hunting. And he had never been on a legit hog hunt before. Yeah. And
it's addicting.
It is. We were out there in 100+ degree heat hunting hogs in July. And but when he shot his pig and we went up to it, and he looked at me and he said, he was like, this has been awesome. I'm slightly paraphrasing. I don't remember his exact words, but this has been awesome. And he told me, he's like, this has been a bucket list hunt for me. Mm. And at first I was like, a hog hunt? And that's the Texas in me coming out like, this. It's a hog. You
right.
know?
It's a rat.
But then when I slowed down to think about it, it's like, this is this is an adventure for somebody in his shoes. This is, you know, like he said, a once in a lifetime opportunity. And whether you're coming from the west or the north and coming down here to hunt hogs, whitetail, whatever, or you're a whitetail hunter from the south going out west, you know, for that once in a lifetime experience. For me, like I would tell you, a bear hunt would be a once in a lifetime experience for me. Like, I mean, that's just truly where my mindset is, because it's so foreign to me. It's something you see in videos and, you know, on TV and stuff like that.
Yeah.
It's not something that's real to you.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
it's all about that, you know, opinion growing to perspective. I love the way that you piece that together. I'm gonna
steal it.
I'm
Go
gonna
ahead.
steal that from
Yeah.
you for sure. I
Yeah.
like that.
No,
So,
dude, my pleasure. My pleasure. Yeah. So it's, you know, so going back to the whole bear thing, just real quick.
yeah.
You want to hunt west and you want to hunt black bears? State of Washington, $250 for an over-the-counter, out-of-state black bear tag.
Easy enough.
Yeah. Right. I mean, I'll connect you with some people up there, and we'll put you on some bears if that's something that you want to do.
I mean, one day I'm sure, and I'm sure I'm not the only one out of our Fall Obsession family that would love it. But yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So one day.
The bears are so fascinating because walking up on a bear is a lot different than walking up on a deer.
I can only imagine.
Right.
Yeah.
And so I love every bear hunt that we do is a mentored bear hunt.
Yeah.
Not everyone has a tag. Not every mentee is the shooter. Now, and I want to clarify that because a lot of people, just like, I need to throw this out there, disclaimer. You can mentor people without, one, giving away your location, and
Yeah.
two, without having them need to be the shooter.
Yeah. Very true.
Right? It doesn't have to be their tag for you to mentor them. Invite people along and set some ground rules, right? I wrote a book. I have yet to release it.
Oh.
It's called Found, the Story of the Soulful Hunter, because it's me finding myself. And it's about my journey going through the hunting. I actually talk about the unwritten rules of hunting, right? Like fishing. Like, oh, I can't take anyone to that fishing hole because I'm going to blow it out. Well, if you're new to hunting, you don't know that stuff. So how is someone supposed to learn if you actually don't speak about it?
Yeah.
So saying, okay, guys, it is public land. Yes, you do have the right to come back here and hunt it. I can't do anything about it. And with that being said, honor the code, because you're not going to grow in your skill set if you don't take what you've learned and then apply it to something else, right? Please don't come back here without us knowing or without us being present. Some of the ground rules. Now, to that extent, I can't control it. I mean, it's honor system, right? And it is what it is. I mean, I love hunting more than a certain location.
Very true.
And I think that's and when I talked about hunting being selfish early on, we get so caught up in the selfish aspect. Oh, it's mine. Oh, dude, I've been here for years. My granddaddy sat on that knob and looked over this basin or that stump. And it's like, yeah, okay, cool. There's a lot of nostalgia, a lot of legacy, a lot of history within it. But the best thing that you can do is to share it with the world.
Yeah.
Like, don't you want other people to have an experience like that?
Yeah.
Right? So, that being said, it is what it is. But yeah, every bear hunt that we do is always a mentored hunt, because getting people in front of bears and teaching them about hunting bears already breaks down any barrier of like, well, can you hunt predators? Can you eat predators? Is it okay to do this? And now you have talking points.
Yeah.
I'll share this real quick with the listeners who don't know the history about me. But I said my very first hunt was a black bear hunt, or very first kill was a black bear 9 miles in the backcountry. I went 9 miles because all I heard was, man, you got to get away from people. You got to get away from people. Literally, the day I'm up there, the first full day on the hunt, and we spotted some bears already at this time, and we're like, oh, we're in the right area. All of a sudden, ruff, 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 ruff. I'm like, what is going on? 3 hikers, a female yoga instructor and her 2 male students and their dog hiked 9 miles all the way into where our location was, and their dog is barking, and I'm just like, I'm new, so I'm like, our hunt's blown. Like, you commit 9 miles, a long ways to go, especially backpacking and hunting. You're walking slow. Typically, it's like 2 miles an hour that you're hiking.
Yeah.
It's like, dude, I spent so much time, effort, and energy to get in here, and now there's some lady who probably is from Seattle with her students that doesn't like hunting. Think she's probably a vegetarian, or even worse, a vegan. And then she sees us in camo, and she's like, what are you guys doing here? Oh, we're hunting. Oh, you're hunting? I didn't know it was hunting season. What are you hunting? Black bears. You can hunt black bears? Seriously? Yeah. What are you going to do with it? Well, we're going to pack it out, and we're going to take it home, and we're going to eat it. You can eat black bears? Like, I was just giving this lady a first-hand experience of like, this is hunting. You can do it.
And you hadn't even killed one yet.
I haven't even killed one yet. And so this is where like the whole more of the mission comes about, is like, we're always ambassadors for hunting.
Yeah.
Always. How you do that resonates and ripple effects for other people to see.
Yep.
And this is like, social media is so polarizing, and Matt Ranella with Hunt Quietly and all this stuff is like, yeah, and you can believe in keeping it to yourself, but I believe with sharing it with the world.
Yeah.
So I'm like, yeah, we're going to eat it. She's like, oh, wow. She's like, wait a minute, there's bears up here? I'm like, oh my gosh,
You're
come
9
on.
miles back, lady, come on.
Like, come on now. And so she's like, okay. And I was like, all right. I'm like, keep your dog quiet. I didn't say that, but I'm thinking this at the time. And she was at least friendly. The 2 guys definitely were like side eyeballing us a little bit. And it's like, I was like, man, this is a really long ways for you to come in for a day hike. And she's like, oh yeah, we didn't think it was going to be this long or this hard. And I'm just like, come on, leave, please. So needless to say, it was hot, scorcher summer in 2017. It was probably pushing mid-90s on our hunt up in the mountains. And this is very, like, we learned so much. People always concerned about meat care. How long can meat last? How long can you hang it? Yeah. And it's funny with all of you whitetail hunters, like, well, you don't even field dress it. You put it in the back of the buggy, drive it to a barn, hang it, put it in a cooler. At least that's my opinion. I don't know. I haven't experienced it yet. But here I am. It's like, this is my first animal. I've never field dressed an animal. I've never done anything at all. It's 95 degrees. I'm 9 miles from my truck, 9 miles from a cooler, all this. And so we just like, all right, we'll figure it out. Well, hot. Bears weren't out during the day. It's got close to dinner time. There's a little water source that was deep enough for us to get into and actually cool down. So get out of the water source, and we're about to make our freeze-dried meals, boil some water. And I'm in shorts at the time, and this is a shout out to my granola side, is I love Birkenstocks back before they were popular, and I've been wearing them for a very long time. So maybe it's because I worked at REI, but I'm in my Birkenstocks. Those were my camp shoes, before Crocs came out, which my wife and I both agree are disgusting. So that, that's a rabbit hole in itself.
That's a whole nother podcast.
So here I am. I'm in my Birkenstocks. I got some shorts on and a t-shirt because I didn't have my camo on yet because we weren't going to go beat brush or go to glassing knob or any of that. And so I had my original hunting partner, Two Shot Tony, our video editor, and I actually invited another guy to come on the hunt with us. And they're getting ready. My wife calls me the sloth. She says I'm the king of dink. Like, I'm very slow when it comes to like, I take my time apparently. So just like this story which feels like it's dragging on. So I'll get to it. We're getting ready for dinner, and once again, these 3 people and their dog are still here. Like, it's been all day. It's like, go home. You got a long hike in front of you. And all of a sudden, she yells, "There!" And she's probably like 30 yards from us at the time. And I'm like, is this lady for real? Before she gets out of here, she's going to scream bear on an evening of a bear hunt. Like, get out of here.
Yeah.
My 2 people that I was with, they perk up and they're like, what? They grab their rifles, run over to her. I'm like, no way I believe this at all. At all. So, I got my Birkenstocks on and like, well, I'll grab my bino harness. I don't grab a weapon, anything. And I kind of meander my way over to her. By the time I get to her, my other 2 guys, they're gone. They're somewhere else. And I walk up to her and I go, "Did you really see a bear?" And her face was as white as Casper the Ghost, and her eyes were huge, and you could see the fear in her eyes. And she was like, "Yeah." And she pointed her finger, and it was across the water source, probably about 90 yards from where we were sitting.
No kidding.
And I was like, are you sure? She's like, "I saw a bear." And I was like, "Okay, well, where did it go?" She's like, "It went that way." Never saw the bear. I was like, okay, so I am jogging as fast as you can jog in Birkenstocks to catch up to my other 2 buddies. And they're there standing, staring, looking around, and they got their rifles. And all of a sudden, this black bear pops out of the bushes and hops over this log. And I go, "It's right there! It's right there!" And they're like, Where? I'm like, "How can you not see this? I don't have a gun. Shoot it!" And at this point, it's probably a little over 100 yards away from where we're standing. She yelled bear. I'm yelling. Like, there's all this commotion. Like, this bear is like, "I'm getting out of here." My buddy, 2-Shot Tony, stud of a human being, absolute savage human. He goes, "Here, take my rifle." He turns around, gives me his gun. I check the action, make sure there was a round in the chamber, and I just sprint. I believe, and this is only self-certified, I believe I set a world record for the fastest human being ever to move in Birkenstocks. Not official, but I do like to...
You should be trying to get Soul Seekers a sponsorship or something. Especially with a story with this many plugs, man.
Oh my gosh. So I run up, I end up crossing a creek drainage, I go up a hill, I'm just like, where do I think this bear is going based off of the terrain? Granted, we're in the mountains, so it's not like it could have gone on an open plain anywhere. Right. It's going to use topography. So I end up going probably about... I hope I'm not fish storing this, the fish was this big. Probably about 125 yards from where I spotted it at. Oh, man, I just straight busted this sucker.
That's all right.
There we go.
You're not the first one.
All right. So I run and I step off and I'm just still and silent. And at this point, I think I'm alone. I think I didn't look back. I didn't do anything. Just kicking up dust, baby. I'm gone. And I stop. And all of a sudden, this bear pops out of the bush at 30 yards from me. And this bear and I, we lock eyes. And time stood still.
Yes.
I saw the fear in this bear's eyes. And, our souls connected. And it was like, this is meant to be. Thank you.
Yeah.
And I put up my gun, fired off. It took off right as I was shooting. So it was trying to get into this creek drainage. I put a bullet hole, took off part of its ear, and then put it right through the back strap into heart and lungs.
No
like the way it was angled downhill, it was just like...
Wow.
It ended up getting into the creek and going... like the biggest death... you ever heard of death moan?
Yeah. I know what you're talking about.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
Crazy. It death moans right in front of me, and I'm like, no way. And at that moment, I still think I'm alone, and Tony is grabbing my shoulder, being like, yeah, we did it. So I was scared to death to lay hands on this bear. Remember, at the beginning of this podcast, I talked about how I was scared of bears in the woods. Like, this, got to connect the dots on this sucker. So the story is that not only did I shoot a bear in Birkenstocks, it was spotted by a yoga instructor from Seattle, and she's the one who spotted the bear for me. She ended up yelling, "Is it safe to come up there?" And I got to also show the bear to her, and, you know, we didn't cut it up in front of them because they were on a day hike. They still had to skedaddle.
Go back,
yeah. But that was the first moment where I was like, whoa, there's so much to share with people that they don't know. And that was kind of the foundation of it all. Wow. Hung the meat, ended up being totally fine. Hung it where there was a little breeze under trees, and it stayed in hot weather. And I was like, huh, who knows? Yeah. Then I learned another lesson. This story, it's fun to tell, so forgive me for dragging this on.
Oh, I love it.
I didn't have a quote-unquote hunting backpack. I had like some North Face backpack that was what I backpacked with.
Right.
It's got to be good. I threw that entire bear cape, bone-in bear, all of it in that pack, and it sank to the bottom of like this backpack as like a big ball. And I hiked it out 9 miles. Hardest thing I've ever done in my entire life.
No kidding.
Learned very quickly that you need to share the load with your partners. Those other two guys stayed in and continued hunting while I hiked out. Bad move. Either let the meat hang longer, or everybody needs to just muscle up, hike out, and we'll hike back in. Yeah. So a lot of learning experiences on that, and that was really what just set the stage and set the fire and lit it in my soul to now moving to Texas and hanging out with Sam Thrash, the host of the Fall Obsession podcast.
Yeah, you digressed, as you said. No, so much with that story, like in so many good ways. Like you tell it very well, and you can see your passion and your excitement with it, and it's awesome to have such a pivotal moment like that to start everything off. One thing that really stuck with me was when you talked about actually like looking that bear in the eye, mm-hmm. and that connection between man and game right then. Yeah. That's something that me as a hunter, not with a bear, obviously, but me as a hunter, you said that, and I knew the exact feeling that you're talking about, and I guess I'm diving in deeper on that and just bringing it up. But you talk about mentoring people, and even how the mentee doesn't have to be the shooter, which is 100% spot on. But that moment that you experienced, that is specific to hunter and game. Yeah, is what that is, and that's spiritual. And until you you can talk about it all day long, and
people don't understand.
I probably have not heard anybody explain it as authentically as you have. But yeah, until you are the hunter in that moment, you have no idea. Yeah, you have no idea.
And at that exact moment, my life transformed.
Yeah.
That was the dead and gone is the old Johnny Mack, and here is the new one.
Yeah.
I conquered fears. I literally faced my fear I looked it in the face.
Yeah.
I said, "Not today, Satan." No, but in all reality, like 30 yards, standing 30 yards from the animal that scared me.
Yeah.
All the way back to 7 years old, and being like, I can do this. Yeah. And if I can do this, you can do this. And courage is contagious, and hunting is contagious, and life is amazing, and life happens for us, not to us. And this is why I do what I do, because it's freaking awesome.
Yeah.
Like, come on.
Yeah.
Let's go, baby. Let's go. Like, rally the troops. Let's get it going, man. Hunting is the best thing in the world. It provides for your family, your courage, your determination. It teaches your young children how to face adversity, right? So I played college football. I was a quarterback, Central Washington Division II, played college lacrosse. I was an athlete. And at some point in your life, the game leaves you. Or you leave the game. It doesn't last forever. And so much of our identity is wrapped up in, oh man, well, my name kind of rhymes. So it's like, I would always introduce myself. Yeah, I'm Johnny Mack, quarterback from Kamiak, which when I was going on recruiting trips is like, it got super annoying. People always giggled. But the game left me. Like, here I was, my whole identity was wrapped up in sports and youth activities that something's not going to continue on for a lifetime.
Right, exactly.
So here I am gaining a skill set that is not only benefiting me, my wife, but also my children.
Yeah.
And whether or not they want to hunt is their own path that they get to walk. But they're going to have a skill set and they're going to understand the importance of it.
Yeah.
And what better thing to give than that legacy?
My good friend Chester Barnes, he listens to some of our episodes. He may hear this. He was a part of Fall Obsession, through the stages of us growing up at one time, but still a very good friend of mine. He said this, and it always stuck with me. He's like, my kids may never hunt a day in their life, but they are going to know how.
Yes.
They are 100% going to know how.
Yeah.
And just that simple statement was like, that brings it all home right there.
Yeah.
So,
why do you do what you do?
like just with Fall Obsession, or just
why are you doing this? Why are we sitting down talking, recording a podcast?
Because I need an episode for Monday. No. All jokes aside, man. Like it's in my blood. It is what it is.
Yeah.
And hunting, like my dad took me hunting for the first time when I was 7 years old.
Mm-hmm.
And my dad can tell you, and the details are a story for another time, but I was hooked from day one.
Mm-hmm.
Like I loved everything about it. Obviously, you get into it more, deer hunting down here, you start to learn more about the challenges. There was definitely that first year, at least tagging along with him, not as the shooter, just as a mentee. It was a whole lot more, rainbows and butterflies for me.
Yes.
Just sitting in that seat as a 7-year-old kid. Obviously learned about more of the challenges that go with it in the years to come, but it just stuck with me. Like it had a spiritual connection with me, and just a passion. And Fall Obsession came from just me. It started with just me sharing that, in like a blog format is all it was. And it has since grown to include all these other people, because eventually it was like, well, why can't other people, share this too? And so that's what led to the first field staff, and all these other guys getting involved in the platform and stuff. And it turns into a, you mentioned, and I couldn't even tell you if it was before we were recording or not at this point. It was at the beginning of our conversation here, but you had mentioned how it's not a competition unless you make it one.
Mm-hmm.
We're all in this thing together. I'm a firm believer in that and agree with that. There's also, in today's modern day and age, just with online media, everybody and their brother and their dog has a social media page, a YouTube channel, a quote unquote hunting show. So
Right.
and that was the hurdle, right? As we're developing content, we're trying to figure out what Fall Obsession is. How are we going to set ourselves apart? Like, not that we're trying to beat Joe Blow out there with his dog's hunting show, but how are we going to set ourselves apart just to be able to reach more people, And that's what turned into the journey of, working to create a better hunting and outdoor online media. Have we perfected it? No, certainly not. But, it's a process, right?
Yeah, it's a journey.
And it's just, I'm passionate for sharing it. I'm passionate for teaching, and I hope to, be able to share this with you on your show when the time comes. But the other side of my life with the fire department and everything, I'm extremely passionate for teaching and mentorship in that field, and I feel like they fed off of each other to a certain extent. My hunting life, my fire life, and just, I don't know, I'm not one to toot my own horn, but it comes naturally.
Dude, you gotta vote for yourself.
Yeah,
We talked about that.
I remember talking about that with you, but it's just it's a natural feeling for me to share, to teach, to do what I can to inspire, and I enjoy being inspired too. Like we were talking about, with our conversations and then your show and everything, like even sitting here talking with you right now, man, you freaking pump me up. Like you make me want to get in front of my computer and just start editing videos and recording podcasts and publish the roll. But and there's a balance, right? Because also for me, it's like there's moments where I go out there and I hunt and I don't want a camera. Like I just want to be a dude out in nature. Yeah. Like that's all I want. I have other obligations that make that
otherwise.
Make that difficult for me to do, right?
Yep.
And you understand that too, but it's so you have to have that balance. You have to be able to tap into that, dare I say, selfish side, because we all do need that independence outdoors at some point. But then you also have to use those opportunities and be able to share that knowledge too. Yeah. And so, man, you asked me why I do it. It's a simple answer for me, and it ties into with my name, and not to sound cliche, but it's an obsession. Yeah. I'm obsessed with it, and I want other people to be too. Like,
I love it.
That's all there is to it.
So you are a man of faith.
Yes.
Do you tie that into the show a lot?
I do in some senses, but I will say not as heavily as you are. So this is the cautious side of me, and the side of me that that needs to grow more. Okay. With the faith side and, dare I say, politics. Yeah. Those are the two things that I have remained, I wouldn't even say neutral. I have just not put it out there as openly as others in our realm. Not for fear of myself, more so out of for some reason there's been a barrier between those things, and it's I'll straight up tell you, like, I feel stupid talking about it because I know there's a connection. I know there's a connection that needs to be there, but I'm just, and our listeners are hearing the vulnerable side of me right now too. Yes. Like it's just that is where I have not connected the dots in my fall obsession world.
Well, I want to inspire you right here.
Inspire me, man.
Okay. We're going to bring faith into this. Genesis 1:1. In the beginning was God, and he spoke, and it became. Yeah. Right? So he created based off of speaking. When we have a skill set and we just keep it to ourselves, and we're not sharing it with the world, we're not creating anything. Right. We're not building. And we, in the Bible, it says we are made in God's image. Right? We are, if God is a creator, we are many co-creators with him. Right? Yeah. The tongue is sharper than any two-edged sword, right? Rightly dividing the word of truth. Point being is that this is why I believe in, like, reading your Bible out loud, reading any book out loud. When you read out loud. Don't just read silently. When you pray out loud. Doesn't have to be loud, but have it be spoken words. Because otherwise we're in this dialogue in our head, right? Who are we talking with? Who are we talking to? Because we're not talking, we're not speaking, as it is spoken. He said it, let it be. He said it, it's true. Like, so there's power in, ironically, the word. Yeah. The spoken word. So I'm going to read you something which is political.
Oh boy.
But it doesn't have to be political. I want you to take this and let it inspire you. First they came for the socialists, and I did not speak because I was not a socialist. Then they came for the trade unionists, and I did not speak out because I was not a trade unionist. Then they came for the Jews, and I did not speak out because I was not a Jew. Then they came for me, and there was no one left to speak for me. The point being is that we are given and blessed with a voice. And if we don't use it, we're doing everyone else and ourselves a disservice. Because we are meant to let our light shine. A light doesn't shine and then say, oh, nope, not over there. Oh, nope, nope, I'm not touching that. Right? Where there is light, there is no darkness. Where you turn on a light, it's light.
Yeah.
And so whether it is you creating a podcast, whether it is you telling a hunting story, whether it's your Dirt Road or Texas Dirt series, whether it's you truly believing something and then not saying it, man, on your deathbed, it's always people talk about their regrets. Oh, I regret not saying this. I regret not doing that. It's like, dude, be vulnerable. Live authentic. If people don't want to follow the Fall Obsession podcast because you talked about God or your belief or your feelings, then they don't have to tune in because this is your podcast, not theirs. They're just along on the ride. And that is one of the things is like, well, maybe you get a bad rating. Maybe someone says, oh my gosh, Sam, I can't believe he talked about that. It's like, yeah, because it's all open. It's all available. Like, I'm not who I am on social media, who I am on the show, who I am in the podcast is the same person I am here. It's like, it is what it is. Take it or leave it. It's polarizing, but that's the beauty. God, you are made to be a creator. So don't hold back, man. Let it rip. Let it rip. And doggone it, have an awesome hunting season this fall.
Man, you have a way with words. You have a way with inspiring people. I certainly appreciate you saying all that for sure.
Yeah.
And helping put that in perspective.
My pleasure.
So it's definitely something for me to take away from.
My
this.
pleasure.
So,
You know, like all you listeners out there, why are you even listening to this podcast? Like really, why?
Yeah.
Is it entertainment? Is it knowledge based? What are you thirsting after? We're always seeking. Right? The soul seekers. We're always seeking after something. So I always talk about on my podcast, well, you need to identify the what. What do you want in life? What do you want for yourself? What do you want for your family? What do you want for your hunting season?
Yeah.
Set goals. Speak goals. Talk about goals. Don't worry about the how. Oh man, I don't know how I'm going to afford this. Oh, I don't know how I'm going to do that. I don't know how I'm going to get the time off work. I don't know how. Don't worry about the how. Focus on the what, and then the how takes care of itself, right? Yeah. If you, like the movie Aladdin, right? If you're starving and you have no food, it doesn't matter whether or not stealing is a crime or not a crime. You're going to do whatever it takes to satiate yourself so that you can live. So I'm not promoting criminality, but the point is we always get what we want. If we want something bad enough, you're always going to get it. If you want to be the best hunter, like your goal is to be like, dude, I want to fill this wall with booners. Like Fall Obsession equals booner, baby. Like, let's go.
Not true.
Then it's going to happen. It might not happen on your timing,
right.
And you don't know how it's going to happen. But ultimately, it's like what I talked about with Malcolm Gladwell's 10,000 hour rule of mastery. When you are a master at something, you're going to be that good enough and have that many opportunities that it's going to fall in line and you're going to be able to check those boxes off. I will say this as a school teacher. I know that my way of knowing whether or not somebody reaches a level of mastery is whether they can teach it to somebody else.
Yes.
And that anchors your knowledge and sharpens yourself because it holds yourself accountable. People are always like, oh man, I don't have an accountability partner. I could really use that. Well, learn how to be accountable to yourself by sharing what you know with others. And it's like, oh, that's not right. I better check that, you know?
Man, spot on again. And again, as you're talking, my mind's not just with hunting. You're taking my mind across the tracks to my other parallel side with my fire life and teaching and stuff. Like, you know, exact same mentality, exact same. Like, I have a passion for being like a master at my craft, but I didn't realize either how much I did know, how much I didn't know
Yeah.
about something until I was asked to teach it. And then it's like, okay, I guess I'll figure it out now.
Yep.
You want me to tell other people about it? I guess I'll figure it out.
Yeah.
And by golly, I did.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, and again, getting into that on another time maybe, but it's
fun.
It's life.
It's rewarding.
Yeah.
It fills your cup.
It does.
You know, when you're on an airplane and the stewardess goes through her talks and she says, you know, up above, the oxygen masks are going to fall. Do they say put the oxygen mask on other people first or on you?
Yeah.
They say, no, put it on yourself first. You got to fill your cup up first so that you can be the best version of yourself for other people.
Yep.
How I tie that into hunting is you're only going to secure and solidify your knowledge in your craft and hone it that much more when you go through the journey, right? No longer opinion. Now it's perspective. You know it because you lived it. And then you get to share it with others. And that just grounds you, makes you that much more dangerous.
Yeah.
I will say this, and please forgive me if these are, I don't know if you typically, I don't ever put a time limit on my podcast unless my kids are like, oh, I gotta get to do something. So if I'm going long, please forgive me. What I wanted to say is the only way we know that sunlight and blue sky, sunny days are so awesome is because we go through the storm and the darkness of nights.
Yeah.
With that being said, how I'm going to tie that into hunting is this. There are a lot of people who start their hunting careers never killing anything. And they go year after year. And they come home. Hey, did you kill anything? No. Did you see anything? No. Oh, okay. Well, there's a certain level of, in my education being a school teacher, I know that if someone doesn't have success within a certain period of time, they're going to quit.
Right.
So how that ties into the sunny days and the dark, stormy nights is things will happen for you and you get to grow. Everything is a learning moment, right? So I kill this black bear, I shoot it, I'm on fire. I do my very first archery elk hunt. I shoot a Pope and Young bull elk, just a beautiful 6x6. I end up getting on these animals. The first season of Soul Seekers, my goal going into that season was to fill every tag I had. And subjective to a cougar tag, which very elusive, and I didn't necessarily go out in pursuit specifically of a cougar, I filled every tag that year. 2 bear, an elk, and a deer tag.
Wow.
And from that moment, I was like, okay, Harry, I reached the top if you're a Home Alone fan. And then after that, it was like, okay, my goal was to be a hunter. Not a hiker with a weapon, but a hunter. And a hunter has a certain skill set and knows how, right? I say, don't worry about the how takes care of itself. But I reached a point where I knew what I wanted enough so that I ended up accomplishing the how. Now I know every hunt is a success because every hunt I have at least been able to see the animals in which I'm pursuing. Since then, I've gone on a drought and I've missed a couple animals on my opportunities. I'm not going to let it get me down. I know that there's skills I need to improve on, but the beauty of killing an animal and taking its life is only signified on that sunny day as much as going through the darkness of missing or not accomplishing my goal. Mm-hmm. And that is then going to bring about when I know that sunny days are ahead.
Yeah.
That when that moment happens, I'm going to cherish it that much more. And it's going to be that much more spiritual for me. And it's going to be that much more powerful and transformational because I hate the word grind. I love in the hunting world, everyone's like, oh man, the daily grind. Like, hey, we're grinding after
That's
it.
just the whole culture of the world now. I don't know why. Like, fitness enthusiasts, hunters, whoever, everybody's talking about grinding.
Gotta grind it out, grind it out, grind it out. And so instead of grinding it out, I view it as an opportunity of growth and an opportunity to ground myself as to why I am still doing it. Because in the Bible, tying this back in, It says, do not remove the ancient landmarks which your forefathers set before you. Meaning, where we come from, why we started, what we thought about, and how we thought at that beginning moment is powerful. And don't lose sight of that when you are farther away from it, right? So it's very easy. 1 degree on a protractor doesn't look like much, but when you're 1 year, 5 years, 10 years, 20 years into your hunting journey, all of a sudden it's like too easy to rest on our laurels. Why do you do this? I do it because I've been doing it forever. I don't know why I do it. Yeah. And you want to sharpen yourself, you want to become a better hunter, teach others.
Yeah.
Bam.
I love it. That's awesome. Man, you've inspired me a lot. I hope that you've inspired our viewers and our listeners and everything too. Like, and I'm not just saying this because I'm podcasting with you. We have not had a podcast like this on our show ever, and so this has been really, really cool, I think. So
I hope you guys like it. I don't know it all. We don't know it all.
Yeah.
We just are living our experiences and sharing it with the world.
Yeah, exactly.
Be inspired. Take it. Run it. In teaching, there's this book that's called The First Days of School by Harry Wong. Wong, W-O-N-G. Harry Wong. And he always says, don't reinvent the wheel. Don't even try to reinvent the wheel. Take what other people have given you, or take what other people are having success at, and then make it your own.
Yeah.
If you like the podcast, start a podcast. Doesn't have to be hunting. If you like hunting shows, start a hunting show. Doesn't have to be the best. Just do whatever it is that is going to fuel your fire and make you a better human. Because like Mahatma Gandhi said, be the change you want to see in the world, right?
Yeah.
Live out what you want instead of being someone from the bleachers being like, oh, bad call, coach, bad play choice, all this. And like, no, you get out there and start playing. Mm-hmm. Like, you put yourself in that position because it's the man in the arena that counts.
Yeah.
Right. That's kind of my take. By the way, I just want to give a shout out. When you hunt with us, which you're going to have an opportunity to hunt with us, everybody gets a nickname. And a nickname comes around very quickly. If you watch episode 1 and 2, Two Shot Tony gets his nickname very quick. You'll see that. Iron Will was originally Silent Will. He didn't speak at all. He said it was because I spoke too much and he had to take it all in. He is now Iron Will because he has gone through the fire and he's hardened himself for a better. He's a sharper human because of it. I did not give myself my own nickname. I was given it because you can't give yourself a nickname.
That's not how it works.
My nickname is the Rev because I like to preach, apparently.
Yeah.
So when you're ready, come with us. We'll take you to church. We'll give you a spiritual awakening.
I like it. I like the comparison. That's awesome. Well, man, I mean, in all reality, we could leave this recorder on and go all night, I feel like.
Yeah.
But at some point, I know you got to get home, and then for the sake of our listeners, we got to wrap it up. But before we do, tell everybody where they can find Soul Seekers and everything you guys are doing.
Oh, thanks, Sam. All right, so you guys, all you listeners and all you viewers out there as well, you can go to our website. That's soulseekersnation.com. On there, we have wild game recipes, blogs, articles, hunting 101s, all sorts of different things, as well as you can find the podcast and links to our YouTube, socials, Instagram, Facebook, all that. But those of you who are not familiar with Soul Seekers, we are a TV show on Carbon TV. We're in the middle of launching season 3, and season 3 is pretty fun. It's pretty incredible how it all works. Iron Will really goes through his growing process of mentee to mentor.
Yeah.
He gets to pass it on in season 3. And I am a firm believer, and I always say, you can never outgive good. When you put good out into the world, it naturally boomerangs back. Kind of like the law of attraction. But with that being said, like, he decided to invest, and it's just naturally coming back to him. So you'll see episode 3, he drops an absolute bomb, 85-yard shot on a mule deer.
Dang.
smokes it. I was right on his shoulder with the rangefinder going, shoot, you got this. So that'll be coming out in the month of August. So TV show on Carbon TV, we got 3 seasons. We went through a rebranding. Originally it was Washington Backcountry, and the show was called Soul Seekers. I had the podcast called The Soulful Hunter, but it was like a Mexican standoff with everyone pointing at each other. It was like, where do we go? And different social media accounts. So everything from season 3 on is Soul Seekers. You can listen to the Soul Seekers podcast. We release every Monday as of right now. I'm thinking about switching up my days. I feel like I might have to release on like a Tuesday or Wednesday, just because that gets to be too much. Anyways, guys, I apologize. I digress. Go check out the show. Check out the podcast. Shoot us a message. Follow us. I'd love to connect with you.
Man, I love your spiel, and our listeners are probably chuckling, especially if they're a returning listener, because you sounded almost just like me as far as talking about the website, what's on the website, where the website will take you, all the platforms. Like, at this point, I could give my spiel, but it would sound just like yours. Just plug Fall Obsession in where you say Soul Seeker. I'm serious, and why I'm chuckling, why I'm bringing that up, is it goes right back to the thing of you and I are doing very similar things with 2 separate organizations.
Yeah.
We're not competing.
No, we're not.
And it goes back to that you're not competing unless you're trying to compete,
yeah,
which you shouldn't be.
No, I want to see you succeed. I want to see Fall Obsession like blow up. And all you listeners, we are going to be doing a collaboration here in the short coming up soon. And can I shout out one more thing?
Go for it.
Okay, sorry guys, I apologize, but I don't, because I love this. One of the things, and I did not share this, is a part of not knowing how to hunt from my very beginning, when I started the Instagram account that was Washington Backcountry, is I was like, man, I don't know anyone who hunts. No one's ever invited me to hunt. No one's ever said, hey, I'd love to teach you how to hunt. Yeah. And so I went full on Field of Dreams style. If you build it, they will come. Yep. And so I took my social media presence, which was like 200 to 300 followers at the time, and I said, you know what? I'm going to host an event, because I want to start knowing people that hunt, and I want to be around people that hunt, and I want to share stories, and I want to inspire, and I want to learn, and I want to engage, and I want to build friendships. So I started out doing a community event. 13 people from the state of Washington, from all over, came, that heard about it only through a tiny little Instagram account. From there, it has grown and grown, and we do an annual event. This last December, we partnered up with Blood Origins and Robbie Kroger. We flew them up to the state of Washington, did a fundraiser for them, and community events, getting people together, telling stories, inspiring, speaking. You're going to expect all that. All you listeners, Soul Seekers Fall Obsession collaboration is going to do a community event down here in Texas.
Yeah. And
we're going to get to meet you guys, shake hands, and get really pumped up.
It's going to be awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Man,
hopefully sooner rather than later. So, yeah.
Absolutely. So
that'd be awesome.
Be on the lookout for that.
Yeah. Well, guys, I want to thank y'all for listening, tuning in, whether you're coming from the Soul Seekers realm or the Fall Obsession realm, whichever direction you're finding this podcast through, seek out the other one too.
Absolutely.
You know, if you're a Fall Obsession follower, go check these guys out. And if you're new to learning about Fall Obsession, I encourage you guys to give us a like and a follow and everything. Just like they do, we do a podcast on Monday mornings. We have shows on Carbon TV, and the podcast is on Carbon TV website, and all of your popular podcast apps is where you can find Fall Obsession podcast as well. And head on over to the website and just explore around. We got a lot of awesome educational content on there, and staffers from all over the country that are contributing and helping build that knowledge base that we talk about, you know, and helping make it an educational tool. So
it's very cliche to be somebody who puts out content that says, hey, like, share, and subscribe. But really, if you enjoyed this podcast, if you enjoy False Obsession, share it. Share it with people. Speak about it. Because at the end of the day, that helps us, it helps you, it helps hunting, and it allows that obsession to grow.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I couldn't agree more. Well, Johnny, thank you, man.
Thank you, brother.
We'll hang it up, and I'm sure more conversations will follow, but we'll at least cut our listeners loose.
Right. You guys can take a break now.
Yeah, we'll give you all the break now. So yeah. All right, guys. Thank you all for tuning in. Wherever you came from, we appreciate it, and we'll catch you next time on Fall Session Podcast. See you then.